The story begins inside the cave. Different types of monsters emerged and launched an attack toward a group of adventurers. Lawrence, the healer of the group, asked Morgan if he could still continue. After confirming with Lawrence that he was fine, Morgan then activated his unique skill Surefire and instantly defeated a monster. Learning of a skill that is guaranteed to hit its target, Lawrence always thought of it as terrifying. The leader of the group, Leon, told Lawrence that Morgan was not the only one who had a strong skill. Lawrence did not expect that he would witness Leon's lightning sword in their current situation. Mocking the monster for being slow, Leon eradicated multiple monsters with just a single blow. Lawrence, along with their party members, was always impressed with Leon's unique skill. All humans receive a skill from God when they reach the age of 6. However, the power of the skill varies. Most kids learn the meaning of inequality, like the protagonist of the story, Ruck, who has the unique skill of luggage carry. Amazed at how skilled everyone was, Ruck decided to focus on his work since he couldn't join the battles with his strength. Though his task stank, Ruck still hoped that he could find good materials. Ruck was then called upon, instructed by Leon to get everyone some water. Ruck presented options for the group to drink but was interrupted by Leon, who told him that he stunk. After providing water, Leon then told Ruck to continue gathering materials. Ruck noticed that everyone seemed cold lately. The Black Lion of the Wise Eye was the group led by Leon, full of S-ranked adventurers. The party was currently attracting more attention for completing difficult missions. Although Ruck was proud to be with the group since D rank, he also felt ashamed. With his unique skill alone, which allowed him to carry 10 times more luggage than others, Ruck wished he could at least have a more combative skill and not just one suitable for an errand runner. In the world Ruck lived in, there existed the concepts of weight and maximum load, in which Ruck excelled. Reptile then called for everyone, informing them that she had found a super rare item. The others were very pleased as they had located the item they were looking for. Checking the status of the rare item, it was revealed that the person who equipped the large bag of the greedy could increase their maximum load to 5,000. Hearing the item's effects, Ruck became nervous since the item's maximum load was 5 times more than his, which meant he was inferior to the bag. Leon then approached Ruck, praising him for his work. However, with a sinister smile, Leon told Ruck that he was now fired. It was revealed by the majority of the party that once they got the legendary item, they would kick Ruck out of the team, removing the weakest member. Experiencing hardships together for the past 2.5 years, Ruck told Leon that his joke was not funny and was too much. Kicking Ruck's shin, Leon reminded Ruck that he was just a small fry who only knew about carrying luggage. After kicking Ruck in the chest, the others laughed, finding it interesting to call Ruck the luggage carrier. Unable to understand what was happening, Ruck pleaded for the group to take him. Admitting that he was useless when it came to combat, he reassured everyone that he would make their job easier by carrying all of their items. Although Ruck had promised to be useful, Leon and the others only found him annoying. Following Leon's order, Morgan punched Ruck in the stomach. Lawrence told Morgan that his attack wouldn't do and suggested they take the luggage first. Lawrence apologized to Ruck, informing him that the value of his existence was only the contents of his bag. As Ruck's consciousness faded, he remembered the words that Leon had told him 2 years ago. All that mattered to Ruck was for Leon to fight comfortably, reassuring Leon that he would carry his luggage. Thanking Ruck for his work, Leon told him that he was important to Black Lion's Wise Eye. Ruck was very happy after Leon praised his unique skill. As the person Ruck admired, he wondered if Leon had already forgotten what he had said to him before. When Leon told Ruck that his skill was very strong, Ruck was surprised, thinking that Leon remembered. But Leon revealed that he would never forget Ruck's expression after receiving a compliment. Leon shared how he had fun with Ruck, who was willing to be their slave after being shown a little kindness. Ruck could not believe that everyone had never treated him as a teammate from the beginning. Noticing something, Lawrence took an item that belonged to Ruck's mother. Believing they could sell the item for money, Leon decided to take it. After being told by Leon that he would have to use his power in order to get the item back, Ruck was then filled with rage, which empowered his whole body, allowing him to stand up. Surprised by his newfound power, Ruck thought it was the hidden ability of his unique skill, luggage carry. When Ruck suddenly charged at Leon for an attack, he was astonished by how fast he was. However, it was still not fast enough for Leon, as he easily knocked Ruck out with just one kick. Ruck was confused, believing he should be strong enough with his new awakening. However, he could no longer stand up. After having his head stomped by Leon, Ruck realized that everything that had just happened was all in his head. Grabbing Ruck's hair, Leon reminded him once again that he was just a small fry. Leon then told Ruck that he was welcome to challenge them anytime and take back his mother's keepsake. After being left for dead, Ruck felt that something was pressing down on him. Thinking that he would be eaten by magic beasts, Ruck then noticed that he felt something warm. Ruck became curious about what was on top of him. It was then revealed that a young woman was sitting on Ruck, assuming that he was a seat cushion. The woman was shocked as she did not expect that someone would be lying on the ground. Seeing the woman's underwear, Ruck mistakenly mentioned the color first. Realizing his mistake, he immediately corrected himself, asking for help. With a disgusted look, the woman then calls Ruck a pervert. The woman asks Ruck if he was a pervert, similar to people who pretend to be exhausted to peek at underwear. Tears rolling down his eyes, Ruck cannot deny that he had seen the woman's underwear. Ruck was pissed as he could not believe that before his life ended, he would be scorned by a girl after being abandoned by his teammates. Believing that his death is inevitable, Ruck was surprised when the woman approached him, pointing something at his face. It was revealed that it was the woman's favorite dango. Although the dango is not a potion, the woman shares that it still can restore physical strength. The woman had decided to trust Ruck, as she had doubts that he was a real pervert. The woman instructs Ruck to finish eating everything once he starts. Though the woman has a cold face, Ruck finds her very strange. Starting to munch down on the food, Ruck was having difficulty chewing the food since his body was starting to feel numb. Seeing the woman salivating, Ruck tried to give some to the woman, but the woman refused, as she did not want to break the rules. Hearing the ridiculous dango ideology from the woman, Ruck could not help but think of water. For sharing her favorite dango with him, Ruck thought that the woman may be a good person. After introducing himself to the woman, Ruck asks her why she is inside the cave. The woman revealed that she is looking for the large bag of the greedy and heard that it can be found inside the cave. Realizing that the woman is looking for the item that Leon and the others found, Ruck tells the woman that someone already took the item. The woman found it a pity and decided to just go back. Ruck asks the woman how she plans on going back and informs her that the path she is taking is where magic beasts are known to appear. After advising the woman to just stay in their current location where it is safe, the woman reveals that she knows the danger that lies ahead. Judging by how the woman looked, Ruck assumed that the woman entered the cave using the demon repellent potion. Despite being a consumable, the demon repellent potion is still heavy. With the structure of the dungeon, conquering it would take quite a bit of time. Ruck does not think that the woman has enough potion for her to return. After receiving multiple warnings from Ruck, the woman kept on telling Ruck that she knows. As the woman turns around, Ruck uses all of his strength in order to save the woman, who was about to get attacked by a lizard monster. Getting injured in the process, Ruck checks his bag if there's still something he can use. Grabbing a demon repellent potion, Ruck throws it at the monster, creating a smoke screen. Gaining 10 minutes to escape, Ruck grabbed the woman and fled the area. Curious as to why Ruck saved her, the woman tells Ruck that she would be troubled if something happens to him while trying to protect her. Ruck asks the woman about her unique skill, planning to work together in order to take down the lizard man. The woman refused to reveal her skill, as she thought that Ruck would be disappointed. The woman tells Ruck that she is useless since her skill is just an amulet crafter. The woman's skill can only create a type of amulet called omamori, from the materials of magic beasts. Such amulets are items that only need to be carried in the bag, in order to utilize their inherent effectiveness. The effect of the amulet increases the user's strength, magic power, or stamina by a little. However, carrying 2 or more amulets will cancel out their effects. Amulets are adored by the less informed newbies. However, since newbies do not have much knowledge of dangers, it is said that adventurers who enter the dungeon carrying an amulet will die. Amulet Crafter is well known to be the weakest production skill. As the effect of the monster repellent potion runs out, the woman tells Ruck that they will then face their death. After telling Ruck that her skill is not useful, the woman is still confused as to why Ruck suddenly asks her to make an amulet for him. Believing that they will ultimately face death, the woman wonders why Ruck is still smiling. After creating 6 pieces of amulet for Ruck, the woman wonders the point in creating so many when one person can only carry one. The woman thought that Ruck is crazy for believing that the amulets would work, more especially since his weapon is just a bamboo skewer. The woman covers her eyes as the demon repellent potion has run out. The woman was shocked to see that Ruck managed to pierce the bamboo skewer through the lizard man. The woman couldn't believe that she just witnessed the power of all of her 6 amulets combined. With his action, Ruck was able to confirm his theory that a luggage carrier can carry multiple amulets at once. Although Ruck is not sure about the specifics, the luggage carrier gives special properties to carrying things. Ruck remembers a similar experience where he carried 2 cursed items without canceling their effects. Ruck realizes that his luggage carrier skill is able to manage each item separately, as if putting them in separate rooms. Listening to Ruck, the woman realizes that Ruck will keep on getting stronger without a limit, the more amulets he has. Planning to return to the city, the woman introduces herself as Mio Kokono, and tells Ruck that he is her destiny. Covering her face, the woman realized how embarrassing what she had just said, and wished for the ground to just swallow her up. Pleased to hear when Mio called him her destiny, Ruck turns around and thanks Mio. Although Mio kept telling Ruck to not call her by her first name, Mio regrets calling him her destiny. Forming a party together, the two have decided to return together. In order for them to return, Ruck tells Mio that they needed to collect more materials in order to make more amulets. One by one, Ruck and Mio collected the materials needed and eventually created 6 more attack prayer charms. Seeing one of her amulets being hung outside of the bag, Mio tells Ruck that he doesn't need to hang it outside, and that it won't be her fault if he gets laughed at. Ruck wonders why Mio has no confidence in her own amulets, as he believes that her amulets can be of great help. In order to get his mother's keepsake back from Leon, Ruck will have to find his way back alive first. Surrounded by multiple monsters, Mio becomes worried as she deems that Ruck won't be strong enough to handle such a large number. Believing that they will die because her skill is too weak, Ruck reassures Mio that her amulet is the strongest, which he will prove. Mio couldn't believe that her hand stopped shaking after Ruck just patted her head. Mio becomes more confused when Ruck suddenly throws away his knife. Ruck reveals that the best way for them to survive was fighting the monsters with his bare hands. Meanwhile, Morgan was thrown on the ground. After asking Morgan if he was okay, Leon tells Morgan that arrogance is always present in strong people like them. Seeing Morgan struggling to fight a spider monster, Leon believes that it was unlike Morgan. Leon noticed that ever since they chased Ruck away, the gears connecting them have started to fall out of sync. The team was now walking on a path of continuous failures. After being told by Ruck that he will prove her amulets are the strongest, Mio was very curious as to why Ruck just threw away his knife. Mio knows that it is impossible to fight so many magic beasts barehanded. However, she herself feels confused as her heart is pounding so much. Charging towards multiple monsters, Ruck easily knocked the lizard man down with one punch. Staring at his hand, Ruck thought that his fist was better than using a knife that he hadn't practiced with. Impressed with Ruck's strength, Mio then warns him of the incoming bats on his left. Blocking the attack with just his arms, Ruck couldn't fully protect himself, receiving an injury. Mio becomes worried for Ruck's safety since the amulets she made are only for offense. Believing that her amulets are still not enough to help Ruck, Mio has decided to fight in her own way. After receiving encouragement from Ruck, Mio now plans to enhance her amulets even more. With the purpose of protecting Ruck, Mio created an amulet solely for defense enhancement. Mio then calls for Ruck, giving him a new amulet he could use. Ruck was very pleased and thanked Mio for giving him a defense prayer charm. Mio reminds Ruck about proving her amulets to be the strongest. Mio then asks Ruck if he would be fine with her hating him if he couldn't prove his words. Ruck responds to Mio that he is fine with her conditions, while holding 2 monsters and being bitten by others. With multiple attack and defense prayers in Ruck's bag, Mio believes that Ruck now has enough strength to get them out of the cave. All of a sudden, a loud sound engulfed the whole cave. Although Ruck couldn't see the source of the sound, he felt that it was coming. Ruck was in shock, as the source of the sound was a massive monster, which made him wonder if it was the boss of the cave. Using the power of 12 attack prayer amulets, Ruck picked up a stone and threw it at the huge monster. Dodging Ruck's attack, the monster then jumped in front of them, knocking Ruck and Mio into the air. The boss monster then tried targeting Mio with its web. However, Ruck blocked the attack, which led to him being swung hard into the wall. Still conscious after being slammed, Ruck believes he would have died if it weren't for Mio's defense amulets. Realizing that the silk is a strong adhesive, Ruck thought he would have a hard time removing it by himself. Mio was worried for Ruck, since his right hand was completely tied. However, Mio was more surprised when Ruck started grabbing the silk with his other hand. Mio tried to warn Ruck about the stickiness of the web, but Ruck reassured Mio that it was fine and advised her to stand back. With all his strength, Ruck pulled the web from the boss monster, causing it immense pain. Confirming that Mio's amulets were the strongest, Ruck then pulled the boss monster until he was swinging it. Proving the power of Mio's amulet, Ruck smashed the boss monster after swinging it wildly. With one move from Ruck, the boss monster was defeated. Amazed by Ruck, Mio believed that the massive monster was the dungeon boss, which is called the Earth Dragon Spider. The monster was rumored to be undefeatable even for strong adventurers. Admitting to Ruck that she was on the verge of giving up on herself, Mio thanked Ruck for proving the power of her amulets. Seeing Ruck's silent reaction, Mio felt embarrassed. Ruck then apologized and explained that he was just thinking of something. Feeling enthused, Ruck wished to confirm how strong he would become if he combined his power with Mio's. Meanwhile, Leon was lying on his back and noticed that Morgan was still fighting a monster. Seeing Leon stare at the item, Reptile asked if he no longer planned on selling it. Leon had changed his mind, deciding to keep the item as a memento to remember Ruck's dedication. Leon believed his kind act would make people empathize more. The others laughed as they couldn't believe Leon could make up such a beautiful story about Ruck's death. Leon mentioned that only in the presence of the weak can the strong truly shine. Leon then asked Morgan if he was different from Ruck and hoped Morgan wouldn't make him draw his sword. Morgan warned Leon that the monster was strong, but Leon still proceeded to attack it. Missing his swing, Leon ended up getting jumped by the monster, surprising his teammates. Reptile and the others hastily defeated the monster. Exhausted, Leon then asked Morgan if he got overconfident. Asking if Morgan no longer trusted him after chasing Ruck away, Leon blamed Morgan for making him fight the magic beast, which led to him getting injured. Morgan told Leon that his accusation was incorrect, explaining that he fought the monster with all his strength. Leon did not believe Morgan's words after witnessing such a messy performance. Holding Leon, Lawrence asked him to calm down and mentioned that they just coincidentally encountered a strong monster. Leon agreed with Lawrence's theory as he himself couldn't explain how it took all of their strength just to defeat one monster. Suddenly feeling immense pain in his arm, Leon realized he was poisoned and asked Lawrence for the antidote. Lawrence tried looking for the antidote but was unable to find it. Listening to Lawrence, Leon then accused him of pretending not to find it so he would die. However, Lawrence insisted he really couldn't find the antidote. Leon then compared Lawrence to Ruck, who could easily take things out. With the antidote no longer an option, Leon told Lawrence that a poison recovery spell would do. Lawrence reminded Leon that items are much faster than casting magic. Leon became angry and asked Lawrence if he was going to blame him for everything. Exhausted and in pain, Leon questioned why they were struggling so much with just one spider, wondering what had changed from before. Back in town, news spread about the reports of deaths and injuries caused by the Earth Dragon spider. Two men having a conversation in a bar wondered if Leon and the others were okay. The old man wasn't worried about Leon and his group since they were a party of S-rank adventurers. The two men were surprised when the Black Lion of the Wise Eye entered the establishment, all beaten and injured. Approaching the group, the old man asked Leon what had happened to them and where Ruck was. Showing Ruck's pendant, Leon told the old man that he had only been able to get Ruck's pendant when the Earth Dragon spider appeared, which made Ruck run away. Based on Leon's story, Ruck had been chased by the Earth Dragon spider, ended up isolating himself, and was killed in the process. Slamming his fist on the ground, Leon blamed himself for being weak and not being able to protect Ruck, who was supposed to have died at the hands of the Earth Dragon spider. Touching Leon's shoulder, the old man didn't know how to comfort him but still wished to tell Leon something. He told Leon not to blame himself since caring too much for his teammates was both his strength and his shortcoming. As the others shed tears for Ruck's supposed death, the guildmaster, observing from the top, was told by the woman beside her to comfort the group as well. However, the guildmaster had a different reaction, doubting that Ruck had really run away. Lying on the bed, Leon then asked the others how much they had received. After collecting the adventurers' insurance money and support money, Reptile calculated that the amount they got would be enough for everyone to buy new weapons. The group laughed so hard thinking everyone was gullible. Leon praised Ruck for finally doing something good for them. Not only had the group received money, but Leon also believed that his chance of receiving a hero medal had increased even more. When one of them thought of Ruck being alive, Leon scoffed, believing Ruck couldn't have survived since he was just a brat who couldn't do anything alone. Meanwhile, Ruck and Mio continued their journey, looking for a way out. The two had run out of recovery medicine and had been walking continuously for several days. Ruck wouldn't have been surprised if one of them collapsed on the spot soon. Seeing natural daylight at the end of their path, Ruck and Mio were relieved that they would finally be out of the dungeon. However, more bad news awaited them. Thieves were lying in wait, asking for Ruck and Mio's treasures. The bandit, thinking Ruck and Mio were weak based on their appearance, ordered someone to investigate. Using the appraisal skill, the thieves learned that Ruck was a luggage carrier and Mio an amulet crafter. The thieves then laughed upon learning that the two had what they considered trash skills. After their skills were mocked by the bandit, Mio felt depressed. Ruck and Mio's situation wasn't good as they were both exhausted. Adventurers are easily targeted by robbers on their return because they are likely to be fatigued. Thieves commonly wait for adventurers since they usually carry rare items on their way out. Mockingly, the bandit asked Ruck to put his bag down, not expecting Ruck to tell him to move aside. The bandit laughs at Ruck, asking him if he really thought they could return home safely. Insulting the amulet dangling from Ruck's bag, the bandit asks if his mother gave it to him. The bandit tells Ruck that wearing an amulet is the same as announcing that they're an idiot. Laughing hard, the bandit stopped only when Ruck told him to move for the second time. Believing that Ruck couldn't understand his words, the bandit then activated his inherent skill to teach Ruck a lesson. However, what happened instead was Ruck breaking the bandit's sword. The bandit looked puzzled, unable to believe that Ruck blocked his sword with just his bare hand. The bandit, proud of his hardened sword skill which can cut through even steel, was curious as to what Ruck did. Crushing the sword even further, Ruck reminded the bandit again to move. Scared out of his wits, the bandit fell back as Ruck was about to leave the dungeon. The old man, who witnessed something impossible, decided to check the contents of Ruck's bag. Another bandit then wondered if Ruck had an S-ranked body enhancement item. The bandit asked the old man where the item was so he could steal it. However, the two were shocked to learn that the bag was just full of amulets. The old man began to consider the effect of the charms accumulating. When Ruck asked the two if they found what they were looking for, they immediately ran away, fearing for their lives. Turning back, Ruck told Mio that they could now safely return. However, the bandit had already grabbed Mio, making her a hostage. The bandit then threatened Ruck. Before the bandit could instill fear in Ruck, he was surprised when Ruck suddenly vanished and appeared behind him. It was revealed that Mio's new charm, called Swiftness Prayer, gave Ruck an insane boost in speed. Realizing that he couldn't win against Ruck no matter what, the bandit released Mio and begged Ruck to show mercy. Ruck apologized to the bandit, informing him that it was already too late. The bandit couldn't believe what he heard from Ruck. Wanting to forgive him, Ruck could no longer do so as he had already broken the bandit's wrist. Leaving the dungeon, Ruck asked Mio if she was injured. Holding her hand, Ruck told her not to get separated from him since it was dangerous. Staring at the bright sun, Ruck thought he would never see it again. After 10 days inside the dungeon, Ruck had finally seen sunlight again. The members of the Wise Eye of the Dark Lion received gratitude for responding to the kingdom's quest. The group was then informed that their task was to protect the soldiers while they fixed the wall in case of a sudden monster attack. Reptil whispered to Leon, stating that the task was too simple. However, Leon advised Reptil not to underestimate the task, as it would give them a chance to prove their might for future opportunities. The knight then remembered that the group had a boy with a backpack and wondered what had happened to him. Realizing the knight was talking about Ruck, Leon told the knight that Ruck left since he was unable to keep up with the group. Calling Ruck weak, the knight then asked Leon to give them a moment. After 20 minutes, the knight told Leon and the others that the other knights behind him would be joining them. Leon did not expect more knights to join them. He was now annoyed since they wouldn't be able to prove their strength with the knights fighting alongside them. When a swarm of wyverns appeared, Leon smirked, deeming the wyverns weak and hunted them all the time. Receiving the signal from Leon, Lawrence used his unique skill called Snake Eyes on the knights. One of the knights recognized the skill that immobilized the target for a few seconds, which made him wonder what the Wise Eye of the Dark Lion was doing. Running towards the wyverns, Leon told the knights to leave the fighting to them, claiming the wyverns as their prey. Later that night, Mio told Ruck that she had placed her trust in him and decided to stay by his side. However, Ruck kept telling Mio that her decision was a mistake. In shock, Ruck believed that successfully booking an inn had always been his strength. However, there were no rooms left at the inn. Sharing her bright idea, Mio told Ruck that if they got drunk, they would surely come up with a good idea. Ruck thought Mio's idea was ridiculous, as he had never heard of an idea for trying to come up with an idea. Ruck then realized that Mio was the type of person who lets problems solve their own problems. Entering the bar, Ruck expressed how it was his first time in a bar for Easterners. As the two drank wine for their safe return, Ruck was confused since they were drinking from square cups. Before Ruck could notice, Mio had already started eating a big dango. Ruck then realized that he did not know much about Mio and wondered if he should take the chance to know more about her. Drinking the wine, Ruck asked Mio about the reason she entered the dungeon alone. Since she was talking with Ruck, Mio thought she could share it with him. It was revealed that Mio's father was being harassed. Where Mio was born, people were subjected to horrible bullying just for having weak skills. Aside from putting animal carcasses on their front porch, the walls of Mio's house also had "Get out of the country" written down. Their storehouse was also burned down. When Mio tried asking for the reason for the bullying, an old lady told her that she couldn't let people with weak skills near her children and grandchildren, thinking that being weak might be contagious. Ruck commented that what people said about Mio's skill was just an old wives' tale. Mio agreed with Ruck but believed that people's words had some truth to them. It was known that skills were hereditary, which meant that children could also receive the same as their parents. Ruck thought that harassing a person based on how weak a skill is was just awful. Mio revealed that her father's skill was also the same as hers, an amulet crafter. When it was revealed that Mio's skill was also an amulet crafter, on the day Mio turned 6, her father apologized to her over and over again. Wanting to comfort her father in any way possible, Mio told him that the amulet crafter skill was the strongest skill. Mio then set out to prove the usefulness of her skill. She only needed someone to use her amulet, which made her believe that she would then be acknowledged. With the money her father saved up, Mio was able to find work in a country with less stigma on skills. Even though she was laughed at day by day, Mio still kept going since someone bought one of her charms. However, one day, Mio was approached by the knights. When she asked what was wrong, the knight showed her a bloodied charm, asking if she was familiar with it. Showing Mio a corpse, the knight told her that they couldn't identify the body since there were missing limbs. The knight then asked Mio if she knew anything about the man. Recognizing the man who once bought her charm, Mio thought that the man's death had nothing to do with her. However, she could not fathom the thought that her efforts to be acknowledged had affected the life and death of a man. Wondering what her next goal would be, Mio overheard a conversation about the large bag of greedy, which enhances every item the user owns. Thinking that her amulets would be enhanced, Mio was left with no choice but to believe in the stupid tale and wandered alone into the dungeon. Even though Mio didn't find what she was searching for, she was still glad to enter the dungeon because she found Ruck inside. Embarrassed, Mio hastily drank the wine. Thinking that Mio may have had one too many, Ruck suggested that they get some water for her. However, Mio claimed she was not drunk. Carrying a drunk Mio on his back, Ruck could not concentrate since he could feel Mio's chest on his back. Finally reaching the inn, Ruck placed Mio on the bed. Knowing that sharing the same bed with a woman was a bad idea, Ruck decided to try and look for somewhere else to sleep. Ruck stopped when Mio asked him to stay. Mio was afraid that when the sun rose, Ruck would no longer be there for her. Though she had only known Ruck for a few days, Mio felt like it was a beautiful dream where only great things happened. Mio cried, expressing how she no longer wanted to wake up. Listening to Mio, Ruck decided that the both of them would prove the power of the amulet crafter. Mio was puzzled as she did not expect that Ruck would actually help her. Ruck shared that the reason he became an adventurer was to help somebody. As a luggage carrier paired with Mio's amulet crafter, Ruck wanted to see how far they could go to prove their goal. Meanwhile, a woman was practicing her slashes and assessed that she still couldn't keep up, even with a sonic slash. The woman wondered what she could do to reach a high level. A knight wielding a sword and shield was sobbing, as she was once again left by Alicia. The woman was shocked after witnessing Alicia bathing in monster blood. Alicia asked Kyun if she wished to join in taking a bath in blood. Punching the monster's carcass, Kyun got startled and ended up falling over in a pool of blood. Kyun cried as she was now getting sick of being Alicia's bodyguard. Alicia told Kyun that when they feel their dead enemies with their flesh, they will become stronger. Alicia von Farman was very much known as the strongest knight. On Leon's side, a knight asked everyone who came up with the idea of summoning the wise eye of the Dark Lion. On his knees, Leon could not believe that they struggled so much against the wyverns. Leon told the knight that they hadn't shown their full strength yet and that they normally would win against the wyverns. Realizing that Leon was still not getting the situation, the knight thought of him as pitiful. The knight then told Leon that the young man had left him. Confused, Leon wondered if the knight was implying Ruck. Cursing Ruck, Leon wondered what Ruck had done to them. Ruck tells Mio that the easiest way for them to prove the power of Amulet Crafter was to succeed as adventurers. But to receive an adventurer's permit from the guild, one needs a skill appraisal certificate to confirm their strength. It is known that Rata is a famous appraisal master, which made Ruck decide to have Rata appraise their strength. Standing in front of a tent, it was revealed that the tent was Rati's skill appraisal center. Hoping to receive good results, both Ruck and Mio entered the room. After being welcomed, Ruck was confused to see a kid. When Ruck asked to be guided to Rati, he thought that the kid was not telling the truth when she told him that she was Rata. Though Rata looked like a kid, she revealed that she was already 25 years old, which shocked both Ruck and Mio. Knowing that Ruck and Mio were customers, Rata then asked the two to let her appraise their skills. Calling Mio a kimono pervert, Rata wished to start with her. While Mio could not believe she was being called a kimono pervert, Ruck was surprised to learn that it wasn't only him who thought Mio's clothes were a bit revealing. Mio became nervous when Rata asked her to remove her clothes. Mio was curious about her position and asked Rati about it. After telling Mio that it was just her appraisal process, she then asked Mio if she liked Ruck and if she could accommodate him. Rati then started work and used her skill, Great Appraisal. Ruck was in shock to see letters floating in the air. They then praised the floating letters after following her orders. Stating Mio's skill as an amulet crafter, Rati also revealed that Mio gained 2 new skills, which surprised Mio. The new skills were revealed to be Mass Production and Amulet Crafter Level 2. Mass Production is a skill that creates amulets in multiples. Amulet Crafter Level 2 allows Mio to make new amulets. Surprised to be able to make new amulets, Mio was very curious as to what happened, as she hadn't been able to gain such skills when she tried before. Listening to Mio, Rati guessed that the method Mio used before was wrong. Rati then pointed out that Amulet Crafter isn't just about making amulets, it's also about the wearer growing stronger. Staring at each other, the two realized that they were able to make each other stronger. Calling Ruck a turtleshell kid, Rati then called for him to be appraised next. Seeing Ruck's back, Rati couldn't help complimenting it and was very excited to see Ruck's results. Embarrassed, Ruck asked about the connection between his back and his appraisal results. After being appraised, Ruck became nervous and asked Rata about the result. With a disappointed look, Rata told Ruck that he was going to face hardships. Stating Ruck's unique skill as luggage carrier, which allows Ruck to carry more, Rata believed that although the skill is useful, it is only suitable for manual labor. After listening to Rata, Ruck was saddened to learn that he didn't make as much progress as Mio did. Ruck became alert when Rate mentioned that he also gained 2 new skills. Seeing Ruck's surprised look, Rate told him that excitement was strictly forbidden since Ruck only gained ordinary abilities. The first skill is called Luggage Carrier Level 2, which allows him to carry 3 times more luggage than before. Although the new skill is convenient, Ruck did not look happy to gain such a skill. As Rata was about to tell Ruck the second skill, which she also deemed mediocre, she was shocked upon reading something from her paper. Apologizing for being startled, Rati told Ruck that the skill was called Turtle's Blessing. When Ruck asked if it was a strong ability, Rata responded that the skill itself was weak. The effect of the skill makes Ruck's teammates stronger if he carries more luggage, a special skill for support. However, no matter how much luggage Ruck carries, the effect can hardly be felt. Though the skill is thought to be dubious, since Ruck is a luggage carrier who can carry 30 times more luggage than a normal person, it means that Turtle's Blessing is also 30 times that of normal people. Whoever teams up with Ruck will most likely become incredibly strong. Seeing that Ruck gained the 2 skills 2 years ago, Ruck asked if his teammates had suddenly become inexplicably strong 2 years ago. Exhausted and feeling defeated, Leon still wondered why they were struggling against small fries when they were S-rank adventurers. Ever since they fought the Earth Spider Dragon, Leon and the rest of the Wise Eye of the Dark Lion had started to struggle. Wondering if they were under some kind of curse, Leon erased that thought from his mind, believing he would have noticed something that significant. Reminded of the knight's words, Leon grew curious as to their meaning. He remembered that it was just him and his teammates who went through the dangers. Leon then thought that someone who resented them must be the culprit. The others were alarmed when Leon suddenly started laughing. He asked if they wished to remain humiliated as they were now, reminding them that their current state was not how the Wise Eye of the Dark Lion should be. Leon then informed everyone that he had finally identified their enemy. He stated that the lion is the king of beasts, the one who would catch its prey no matter the cost, just like them. Lawrence then asked Leon who they were going after. Meanwhile, Ruck and Mio visited the Adventurers Guild to register as a party. Apologizing for making the 2 wait, the guild staff informed them that they could not allow them to form a party after reviewing their skill appraisal certificates. In shock, the 2 went to a tavern and began drinking again. Ruck thought they should have expected the result, as no one would allow an amulet crafter and a luggage carrier to form a party. Ruck wondered if they should invite a frontliner or if he could become a knight or something. Mio then informed Ruck that becoming an apprentice knight would take months. Ruck thought it would be nice if someone could appraise their true strength. Out of nowhere, a man walked past Mio and asked her if she was having trouble finding a party. The man then told Mio that her hair qualified her. With that reason alone, he advised Mio to leave Ruck and suggested she join his party instead for her own benefit. Seeing Ruck react, the man suddenly punched Ruck, throwing him onto a pile of crates. Others began to notice that a mess was about to happen. As Mio immediately went to Ruck's aid, the man pointed out how weak Ruck was and claimed he held no value. He then reassured Mio that he could make her happier if she joined him. The people inside the establishment recognized the man as the A-rank adventurer, Rencoin Gold, known for philandering. However, his current actions were deemed too much. Using Snake Eyes, Rencoin Gold subdued Mio. As Mio couldn't move her body, the people recognized that Rencoin was using his unique skill on her. Rencoin advised Mio not to move, confident that she might not like it at first, but she would get used to his techniques. The onlookers believed Rencoin would use his skill just to kiss Mio, and thought of him as despicable. As Rencoin pouted his lips and was about to kiss Mio, Ruck hastily stood up and grabbed Rencoin by the cheeks. With his strength, Ruck threw Rencoin across the room, breaking a table in the process. Rencoin wondered where Ruck had gotten all the strength he just used and was even more curious as to how Ruck managed to stand up and reach him so fast. Ruck agreed with Rencoin that a man is weak if he has no value. That being said, Ruck made it clear that Rencoin was even more worthless than him. Staring at Ruck, Rencoin began to question whether Ruck was really just a useless luggage carrier. Alicia, who had already reached more than 1,000 pull-ups, was interrupted by Kyun, who reported that the dragon had already been defeated, suggesting they end their training and return to the guild. Kyun expresses her concern for her well-being, as it was revealed that she and Alicia had just recently defeated a dragon. Exhausted from the fighting, Kyun complains that she no longer has any strength, comparing herself to a newborn fawn. Alicia sighs, as she can never find a strong opponent that she can fight to the death. Back at the guild, Rencoin, proud of being an A-rank, cannot believe that he was bested by a luggage carrier. Angered, Rencoin pulls out his sword and charges toward Ruck. Not wanting to cause more trouble for the guild, Ruck plans to lead Rencoin outside to minimize the damage. However, Ruck notices that he suddenly cannot move. He later finds out that Rencoin has used his unique skill Snake Eyes on him. Seeing Ruck affected by his skill, Rencoin believes he has already secured his win and tells Ruck to just give up and fall victim to his beloved blade. Because of Mio's defense prayer, Rencoin did not expect his blade to bend with its tip pointing toward his face. While Rencoin is puzzled as to what had just happened to his weapon, Ruck explains that it was the effect of his amulet, then apologizes for ruining the sword. Promising to compensate Rencoin for the broken weapon, Ruck bows down and accidentally headbutts Rencoin's sword, activating the attack prayer and breaking the sword even more. Frightened after seeing what happened to his weapon, Rencoin flees and calls Ruck a monster. With the help of Mio's swiftness prayer, Ruck is able to catch up to Rencoin. Holding the broken sword, Ruck asks Rencoin to wait as he wishes to compensate for the sword he broke. However, Rencoin is more surprised that Ruck is able to keep up with him at full speed even while carrying someone. Realizing that he cannot convince Rencoin, Ruck stops, unable to believe that someone would just toss away their precious sword. Seeing how bent the sword is, Mio agrees with Rencoin and suggests to Ruck that he should just toss it away. As Alicia arrives in town and encounters Ruck and Mio, she approaches them, surprising Kyun. When Alicia grabs the sword, Ruck pleads for her to return it, but he is shocked to see how huge Alicia is. As she grabs the tip of the sword, Ruck wonders what she is going to do. To his surprise, Alicia fixes the sword with just her brute strength. Alicia then comments that a knight's soul is their blade and breaking it is akin to death. After thanking Alicia, Ruck notices that she is not an ordinary person, especially after seeing her strength and the dragon fangs she carries. Believing that Alicia knows how to fight very well, Ruck calls out to her, asking if she could train him in swordsmanship. Surprised, Mio becomes curious about Ruck's intentions. Ruck thinks that he was only saved due to the amulet and would have died without it. He does not want to rely on the amulet, believing he will soon reach his limit. After telling Alicia that he wants to become stronger, Alicia suddenly strikes Ruck with his weapon, burying him in the ground. Getting a nosebleed, Ruck did not expect that Alicia would suddenly attack him. Alicia explains that she wanted to know how strong Ruck was. Kyun immediately apologizes for Alicia's actions, as she did not expect that Alicia would do such a thing again. Alicia reveals that the force she is putting on Ruck is equal to the weight of 3 carriages. If Ruck can stand up with all the weight she is putting on him, he would then be qualified to train under Alicia. Kyun was unsure if Ruck was still alive after seeing the damage done to the ground, commenting how only Alicia herself could withstand such a blow. Suddenly Ruck stood up and asked Alicia if what he was doing was good enough. Kyun was in total disbelief and wondered what kind of person Ruck was. After hearing Alicia's name from Kyun, Ruck asked if she could now train him. Seeing Ruck smile, Alicia became confused and wondered if the weight was not heavy. Ruck responded that it was heavy. However, he was more amazed by the technique Alicia used, applying an immense amount of force and concentrating all the pressure on one point. Ruck felt fortunate that such a skilled person would be the one to train him. Alicia asked if he was not afraid. Ruck admitted that being suddenly attacked was frightening. However, the thought of being able to get stronger excited him even more. Nervous, Kyun asked if Ruck was some sort of battle maniac. Mio did not think that Ruck was a maniac, but she remembered how Ruck had the same smile back then. Alicia then told Ruck to hold his sword tight, as she wanted to see if he could become an opponent she could fight to the death. Confused, Ruck asked if they couldn't just practice. However, Alicia ignored him and told Ruck that it would be swell if he could kill her. But knowing that Ruck was not capable of that, Alicia only wished him good luck. As Alicia swung her weapon, Ruck tried to block the attack but ended up breaking Rencoin's sword. Due to the powerful force, Ruck was thrown against a wall. Seeing that Alicia was actually serious, Kyun now wondered what she should do. Thanks to the defense prayer, Ruck did not sustain much damage and did not pass out. Still being pushed by the force, Ruck tried to get a firm stance. However, he couldn't stand his ground. Seeing Alicia dashing toward him, Ruck wondered if he was facing a monster. Still being pushed by the force of the attack, Ruck's only thought at the time was that, if he could learn from Alicia, he would surely get stronger. Using what was left of the broken sword and with the help of Mio's on-target prayer, as well as the attack prayer, Ruck launched a surprise attack. Alicia was able to block Ruck's attack with her weapon. With the swiftness prayer, Ruck was able to maneuver his way out of the canal and jumped right back at Alicia. Grabbing the broken sword that was stuck on Alicia's weapon, Ruck pulled it down, breaking Alicia's weapon in half. Ruck then reminded Alicia of what she had said to him about the blade being a knight's soul. Finally meeting someone she could fight to the death, Alicia wondered if she was dreaming. Pinching her cheek so hard that she ended up injuring her face, Alicia's face brightened as she confirmed that she was not dreaming. Ruck, surprised, informed Alicia that she had pulled too hard. As Kyun was about to approach Alicia, she was surprised to find Alicia now behind her. Alicia then told Kyun that she had found the one. Kyun became nervous and asked Alicia if she was serious. Puzzled, Ruck asked for an explanation of what was happening. Kyun then formally introduced herself as a servant of the Knights of the Farman family. She explained how Alicia was searching for someone to fight her to the death and pointed out that Ruck was the person she was looking for. Since Ruck still did not understand, Kyun explained how she believed that Alicia had fallen for him. Both Mio and Ruck were shocked to witness love at first sight. As they left town, Ruck asked Alicia to repeat herself one more time. Alicia stated that she was looking for a deathmatch. She then claimed Ruck as her husband, deeming him stronger or even stronger than she had thought. Ruck was now terrified. Unable to follow Alicia's words, Kyun offered to speak on Alicia's behalf. After asking Alicia to lower her weapon, Kyun explained that Ruck had been caught up in one of Alicia's Heihi days. Seeing Mio and Ruck's confused expressions, Kyun explained how Alicia had devised a plan to train Ruck into an outstanding knight so that he could become her enemy. However, Alicia found herself in a dilemma between her battle-craving heart and her loving heart. Still confused, Ruck asked what Kyun was trying to say. Kyun told him that the moment he destroyed Alicia's weapon, the dark side of Alicia's conscience realized that Ruck would be her deathmatch until the end of his days. Alicia was already imagining how the two would fight each other from their wedding until they grew old together. Sweat poured down Ruck's face as he asked if he had the right to refuse. Kyun made it clear that if Ruck had truly been able to escape from Alicia, he wouldn't be sitting with them right now. Mio became concerned as she saw Ruck sweat even more. Although Ruck was sweating from nervousness, Kyun believed that Ruck might also be a monster for being able to break Alicia's weapon. Seeing Ruck caught in a ruckus, Mio knew that if she didn't do something, Ruck would be doomed. Grabbing Ruck by the arm, Mio told Alicia that she and Ruck were actually dating. Ruck was once again surprised by Mio's sudden revelation. Claiming they were in a relationship, Mio believed that was reason enough for Alicia not to marry Ruck. After being called honey by Mio, Ruck realized what Mio was trying to do, and felt the need to apologize to her for being forced to help him. Upon learning that Mio and Ruck were lovers, Kyun found the situation even more interesting. Hearing the word lovers, Alicia stood up, frightening Kyun. As everyone wondered if Alicia was angry, Alicia suddenly grabbed Mio, telling her that they were the same. Alicia then asked Mio if they could be friends, since they were both their husband's lovers. Kyun, who initially thought the situation was getting interesting, gave up, no longer able to understand Alicia. When the carriage finally stopped, Kyun revealed that they had arrived at the land belonging to a line of royal knights, the Farman family. Ruck couldn't believe he was entering the place where apprentice knights were trained to become top-notch warriors. Confused, Ruck asked why they had come to such an establishment. Kyun revealed that Alicia was the eldest daughter of Sir Lilicabra, the current lord, meaning that Alicia was the next in line. After formally introducing herself as Alicia von Farman, Alicia expressed her desire for Ruck to train at the Farman family household. Since Alicia had other duties, she couldn't train him directly. In her place, other suitable knights would teach Ruck how to fight. Alicia hoped that Ruck would fight the knights to the death, become stronger, and surprise her. Although Ruck wished to become stronger, he grew nervous, realizing that what Alicia was asking of him was far beyond what he had expected. The title of apprentice knight can be obtained after staying in the training grounds of the Farman household for a month. Watching the people fight each other with all their might, Ruck thought that he would definitely become stronger in the Farman household. Noticing that Mio was with them, Kyun became curious as to why Mio wanted to become an apprentice knight. When Ruck clarified that it was him who wanted to become an apprentice knight, Kyun thought Ruck was joking. Based on Kyun's assessment, Ruck already had the abilities of a holy knight. Under the chivalric titles, the holy knight is considered the highest, while the apprentice knight is the lowest. The chivalric titles can only be obtained by training under a master and getting their approval. Kyun assumed that Ruck had been training since the day he was born to achieve such abilities. However, Ruck revealed that he had only been able to fight for half a month. Since Ruck wasn't accepted as a frontliner at the Adventurers Guild, the two were hoping to get the knight title so they could form a party. Kyun grew more frightened upon learning how strong Ruck had become after just half a month. Kyun then guided the two to a room and informed them that they would be staying there for the time being. They were both amazed at how big the room was. When Kyun asked if they wished to meet the Lord, Ruck responded yes, wanting to thank him for his generosity. When Ruck finally met Lord Lilicabra, Alicia's father, he did not expect Alicia to tell her father that Ruck was her husband. For the last 21 years, Alicia had only known fighting, so Lord Lilicabra was surprised to learn she was about to marry someone. Ruck tried to explain that there had been some sort of mistake and clarified that he was only at the Farman household for swordsmanship training. He explained that aside from his training, everything else was Alicia's idea. Drawing her sword, Alicia's sister asked Ruck if he really broke her sister's sword. Ruck was taken aback, as he did not expect the woman beside the Lord to be Alicia's sister. It was then explained that a knight's soul is their blade. However, Ruck was surprised to learn that breaking a weapon during battle meant it was a proposal of love. Angered that Ruck dared to propose to her sister, Alicia's sister tried to put him in his place. Vanishing and suddenly appearing in front of Ruck, she attacked. but with the help of the swiftness prayer, Ruck dodged the strike. While Ruck tried to calm Alicia's sister down, she declared that the only person who could be Alicia's deathmatch was none other than herself, Khloe von Farman. With a sword pointed at his face, Ruck thought their resemblance was uncanny, leaving him to wonder what he should do. Meanwhile, Leon and his group were in a dense forest. Leon shared that someone jealous was strengthening the monsters they were fighting. If it weren't for this jealous person, Leon believed they wouldn't have struggled so much against the wyverns and spider monsters. As Leon vowed to capture the person making their life miserable, Lawrence began to doubt Leon's words, wondering if the monsters really had enhancement magic on them. Neither Reptile nor he could feel anything, and Lawrence questioned if such spells even existed. Lawrence felt uneasy, wondering why Leon was making a victorious face. After announcing that she is the only person fit to be her sister's deathmatch, Khloe could not believe that someone would dare to claim to be her sister's husband. As Ruck tries to explain his side, Khloe continues to ignore him and even requests that Ruck fight her. Khloe wishes to settle the score with a single strike right away. If she wins, Ruck would have to stay away from her sister immediately. But if Ruck wins, Khloe would give Ruck her complete blessing. Hearing the conditions, Ruck doesn't think that the rewards are fair. After announcing the condition of giving her complete blessing, Khloe then declares that she will hire the best chef in the land to serve at Ruck and Alicia's wedding. When Khloe stated that she could also cook for them, a thought came into Ruck's head that Khloe definitely can't cook. Ruck can't think of a reason at all for them to fight, as all he needed was the Apprentice Knight title. Appearing from a window, Alicia tells Ruck to accept the challenge. Seeing Alicia climbing the windows again, Khloe becomes worried. When Ruck did not refute being called Alicia's husband, Khloe thought that Ruck really could defeat her. Alicia then tells Khloe that she is wrong, as Ruck and her are great death matches for Alicia. If both Khloe and Ruck focus and train hard, Alicia is sure that the two will become even stronger. Alicia announces that the fight will take place half a month from now, and she wants to see the two focus on each other during the death match. Before the announced date comes, Ruck will be training under the guidance of Kyun. When Khloe expresses concern over the duration of the final battle, Alicia stretches out her hand, making it clear that the fight will happen after half a month. Everything eventually gets settled, and Ruck is now training with Kyun under Alicia's request. Kyun expresses her gratitude towards Ruck as she no longer has to run around with Alicia for the time being. Serving Alicia meant experiencing life-threatening battles every single day, but for the next half-month, Kyun only needs to train Ruck. Out of nowhere, Alicia appears beside Kyun, informing her that it is time for a deathmatch. Confused, Kyun explains that she still has to train Ruck. Alicia, more confused, believed that Kyun would be training Ruck and doing a deathmatch at the same time. Kyun is shocked as she is then dragged away by Alicia. Seeing his instructor being dragged, Ruck is asked by Mio how he will train now. Ruck decides to start his training by swinging his sword while they wait for Kyun to return. As the day turns into night, Ruck still swings his sword. When Mio points out that it is already dark, Ruck thinks they could start again next time. However, they suddenly hear a voice announcing that she has come to train Ruck. Recognizing the voice as Kyun's, Ruck is shocked to see Kyun all battered and beaten. Crawling, Kyun apologizes to Ruck for being late and suggests that they begin right away. After advising Kyun to rest first, they later learn that Kyun's unique skill is instant teleportation. Kyun explains how her skill has a confusing name, End Portals, but suggests that Ruck and Mio just think of it as teleportation. Kyun reveals that Alicia and she were just fighting under the sea. Realizing Kyun had a tough day, Mio offers her dango to Kyun. Not expecting such a generous act from Mio, Kyun cries, thinking of her as an angel. Mio ends up comforting Kyun for an hour straight, a result of the terrifying days spent following Alicia. Since Mio is good at taking care of people, Kyun eventually regains herself. The two become close to the point where Kyun asks Mio more about her love story. Mio becomes embarrassed and tells Kyun that there's not much to tell. Though Mio and Kyun get along well, Ruck starts to wonder about his training. Seeing Kyun pester Mio about whether she and Ruck had already kissed, Ruck realizes that Kyun is a sucker for romantic stories, as she even believes the fake relationship he and Mio have. Ruck wonders if Kyun can really teach him, as his impression of her is just of someone being bullied by Alicia. After indulging in enough romance, Kyun stands up and tells Ruck it is now time for them to train. After being advised by Kyun to go first, Ruck becomes nervous as he feels Kyun's aura change. Since Ruck has taken off his backpack, he wants to see how far he can go with only his swordsmanship. The two then clash swords with one another. Kyun recognizes that the sword has not yet ingrained itself into Ruck's muscles, and suggests that Ruck put more strength into his swings. Although Ruck learns pretty fast, Kyun believes this is because of his experience as a luggage carrier. Kyun guesses that Ruck may have witnessed and learned from a handful of swordsmen and their techniques. Though Ruck is receiving praise from Kyun, he also notices how she effortlessly blocks his strikes. even with just one hand. As someone who has always served under Alicia, Ruck knows that Kyun is not someone who can be considered weak. Counting himself as very lucky to have a good teacher, Ruck swings his sword very hard, which leaves a good impression on Kyun. Kyun thought that she wouldn't need to use her other hand for a few more days, but she did not expect Ruck to improve so quickly. Kyun heard that most of Ruck's power comes from multiplying the effects of amulets, but as someone who has never held a sword, Kyun could not believe that Ruck was already able to stand his ground against Alicia. Once Ruck gets proper swordsmanship training, Kyun believes she will be able to create a monster. The days of hard training have begun. Part of Ruck's training involves learning the basic principles of knighthood and becoming stronger, but after 5 days, Ruck begins to doubt himself. Staring at his sword, Ruck wonders if he could really defeat Khloe in a sword fight. Khloe's blade is so fast that Ruck can't see it even with Mio's amulets. A fight settled with one serious strike makes Ruck question if he could win at all. Asking Kyun's opinion, she is silent for a moment. Kyun then honestly tells Ruck that as of right now, he cannot win against Khloe. Ruck asks if he still couldn't win even with Mio's amulets. Kyun responds to Ruck, yes, while praising both Ruck and Mio's skills, believing that they may have the strongest combination. However, Kyun immediately notices an extremely significant weakness. Kyun's words leave the two puzzled. Meanwhile, on Leon's side, Leon asks his party how they would define a hero. Not expecting the question, the others answer that a hero is the world's savior, or maybe the one who defeats the Demon King. Leon tells them they are wrong. Leon states that the hero of an era is the one who rises above and gets his name burned into people's memory. Saving the world and defeating the Demon King are just parts of the process of becoming a hero. One by one, Leon lists the qualities that a hero must have. Having the strongest hold on the emotions, heart, and soul of the people in his era is what Leon believes a hero should be. After telling the others that he does not oppose their idea of a hero, Lawrence asks why Leon suddenly brought up the topic. For someone to enhance the monsters they are facing, Leon believes that they must have stood out. Ruck believes that it's now time for their enemy to reveal themselves. Taking out a bag of carrots, Leon plans to lure their enemy by using the heavy smell. Fighting a weak monster, Leon wants to determine if the range of the enhancing magic reaches their location. Lawrence realizes that Leon's action is the safest way to assess the risk. Leon plans to see if the surrounding area is affected by the enhancing magic. Leon believes that if the enhancement magic does not reach them, then they would be able to defeat the monster with just one shot. Charging at the small monster, Leon swings his sword. His smug look immediately turns to fear as his sword is easily blocked by the rabbit's horn. Reptile thinks the monsters are being buffed as well, since Leon's strike cannot even cut the horn. Wondering if there is a very strong spell in play, Leon's thoughts are filled with the intent to kill the small monster at all costs. Bringing out his unique skill, Lightning Sword, Leon initially doubts whether it will be enough to kill the monster. However, still believing himself to be the hero and to possess the power he once had, Leon continues to charge at the monster. Ruck was very curious about what their party's weakness was. Kyun tells the two that no matter how many amulets Ruck gets from Mio, there would still be an undeniable weakness. Before putting it into words, Kyun wants to see it in action for herself. Kyun then asks Ruck to use his amulets and a real sword. Ruck did not expect that Kyun would request him to fight with all his strength. As Ruck wears his backpack, Kyun tells him to strike at her whenever he wishes. Ruck thought that if he used his swiftness prayer and dashed around, he would surely get a hit on Kyun. Wondering about their party's weakness, Ruck immediately proceeded with his plan. However, Ruck suddenly falls to the ground, surprising both Mio and himself. Kyun apologizes, revealing that she was just messing around. Ruck learns that Kyun teleported half of her blade, cutting his bag in the process. Kyun tells Ruck that their weakness lies in the destruction of the carried luggage. She adds that if it were Khloe, she would be able to destroy the bag with more speed and precision. With Kyun's demonstration, Mio realizes that Ruck must protect his bag while fighting. Still unable to believe that he lost so easily, Ruck asks to go at it one more time. However, Kyun refuses, informing Ruck that they're done. Seeing the confused Ruck, Kyun explains that he cannot overcome their weakness by just training with her. She advises Ruck to spar with many other knights, pointing out that battle experience is the greatest teacher. Ruck is told that starting tomorrow he will face the Knights of the Chosen. The next day, people at the arena are surprised to learn that a mock battle with the Knights of the Chosen is happening, but they wonder who their opponent is. Everyone questions whether the person they see, a weak-looking knight wearing a backpack with an amulet, is really the one fighting. Nervous, Ruck wonders if he really has to fight in front of so many people. As Mio cheers for him, Kyun informs Ruck before stepping into the arena that the Knights of the Chosen are 10 knights whose excellence has been acknowledged by the Farman family. When Ruck asks about the purpose of the helmet he is wearing, Kyun reveals that it's to block skill appraisals. The helmet was crafted to be unaffected by appraisal skills. hiding Ruck's skills from the viewers. Kyun sets one condition for Ruck when fighting the knights. He can bring only 15 amulets. Ruck believes that carrying 5 attack prayers, 5 defense prayers, 3 swiftness prayers, and 2 on-target prayer charms will be enough. One of the chosen knights then calls Ruck's attention, guessing that he is not a farman. Feeling disrespected at being forced to fight an amateur like Ruck, who still carries amulets, the knight wishes to end the fight with one strike. Introducing himself as Gilman, the 10th chosen knight, he vows to be the knight who slays Ruck. As Gilman swings his sword, Ruck easily dodges the attack with the help of the swiftness prayer. Impressed with Ruck's speed, Gilman assumes that Ruck's unique skill is swiftness, a skill that enhances the user's movement speed but hinders their attack power. Activating his unique skill called Hardening, Gilman states that Ruck won't be able to stand after he lands a hit on him. Mio is shocked to see Gilman's body covered in metal. Believing that Ruck would not be able to do anything while his unique skill is active, Gilman is surprised when Ruck suddenly appears in front of him. With one swing from Ruck, Gilman's unique skill is easily destroyed. Gilman is puzzled, as in all the many battles he has fought against people with swiftness abilities, Ruck is the first person to ever penetrate his hardening skill. Seeing Gilman lying on the ground, the arena echoes with the crowd's voices, curious about Ruck's strength and unique skill. Mio is also surprised by Ruck's growth. Realizing that Gilman had a defensive unique skill, Ruck thinks he needs to add one more attack prayer to the max. The exhausted Leon was finally able to defeat the rabbit, but he had to struggle first before securing his victory. Leon then wondered how he would defeat the rest of the rabbits that had appeared. Realizing that it was impossible for him to win, Leon threw the carrots away. Seeing what Leon had done, Morgan warned him never to throw the bag since it carried a scent that the monohorns really liked. Both Lawrence and Reptile were surprised when the bag landed in front of them, and they saw Leon running away, leaving all of them behind. As the others called for him, Leon questioned his own behavior, unable to believe that he was actually fleeing. Tripping over a tree root, Leon once again focused his attention on the person who was supposedly buffing the monsters they were fighting. Forcing himself to believe that he wasn't running away, Leon found a pair of adventurers and immediately suspected that they were the cause of their misfortunes. When Leon appeared in front of the 2 adventurers, the female adventurer was startled and asked Leon if he was okay. As the woman was about to use healing magic on Leon, the male adventurer asked her to wait as he noticed something off about Leon. Without looking at Leon, neither the woman nor the other adventurer expected Leon to suddenly stab her with his sword. Smiling maniacally, Leon felt victorious, believing that he had finally defeated the person who had been buffing the monsters they were fighting. The other adventurer charged at Leon, enraged by what he had done to his partner. Feeling no guilt, Leon introduced himself as an S-rank adventurer and claimed to fear nothing. However, to Leon's surprise, he ended up being slashed by the adventurer's unique skill, Evil Ending Slash. The people in the arena cheered for Ruck for gaining an absolute victory over Gilman, requesting that his unique skill be revealed. Within the crowd was Khloe herself, unsurprised that her sister Alicia had brought someone so strong. Ruck noticed Alicia within the crowd and remembered that he would not be recognized as a knight without defeating her. No matter how many amulets Ruck carried, Khloe could finish him immediately if she aimed for his bag. Although Ruck received advice from Kyun to accumulate more battle experience, he still wondered if that would be enough. The defeated Gilman, who still couldn't believe that his ability had lost, was approached by another knight who thought of him as a disgrace for losing to an outsider. Out of nowhere, the person's shadow suddenly wrapped itself around Gilman, trapping him completely. Calling Gilman an old man past his prime, the man introduced himself as Gannett, the 9th place among the chosen knights. In the name of Farman's knights, Gannett vowed to kill Ruck. The crowd became lively again as Gannett the shadow puppeteer appeared. With Gannett's skill, the crowd was sure that Ruck would no longer survive. Witnessing what had just happened to Gilman, Mio saw how Gannett split her shadow and used them as blades. This meant that Gannett could easily land a sneak attack. Gannett would be a tough opponent for Ruck as she could easily target his backpack. Ruck, currently carrying 15 amulets with him, wondered what his next steps should be. Gannett could attack both from the ground and from the front, making Ruck divide his attention. Ruck lowered his stance. With his view lowered, he believed that he could now guard both directions at once. Looking at Ruck's stance, the crowd laughed as he looked like a thief. Khloe, who did not share the crowd's amusement, thought of something unpleasant. With the gong being struck, Gannett immediately went on the offense, using her shadow to strike Ruck. Remembering her first encounter with Ruck, Khloe noticed that he was now better guarded compared to last time. Seeing Ruck improve so quickly, Khloe found it very unpleasant. Ruck easily deflected one of Gannett's shadows with his sword. Noticing that he was being trapped by both Gannett and her shadows, Ruck swiftly moved forward, evading the trap. However, Gannett's shadows were still following him. Ruck countered all of Gannett's shadows, forcing Gannett to change her plans. Covered by her own shadow, Gannett noticed that Ruck no longer had his sword. She later realized that Ruck had thrown his sword at her and it was already close to her head. Ruck found Ganette's shadows to be very annoying and refused to fight her any longer. As Ruck's sword hit Ganette's head, it was announced that Ruck had come out victorious. Receiving the tip of Ruck's sword, Ganette fell to the ground. The crowd was in shock as they could not believe that even Ganette would lose. They were now thinking that Ruck was no ordinary man. Seeing Ruck defeat the 9th chosen knight, Mio was now more confident that Ruck could defeat Khloe, while the others thought of Ruck's win as a fluke and that the 8th chosen knight would defeat him. All of a sudden, Khloe stood up and announced for the fight to be stopped. The crowd became silent after hearing Khloe's voice. Khloe then informed everyone that it did not matter whether it was the 8th or 7th knight who fought Ruck. They would not win against him. Khloe thought that the farman knights were becoming incompetent for not being able to notice the strength gap between them and Ruck. Believing that the 2 matches were enough to intrigue everyone, Khloe announced to end the fight early. The crowd protested against ending the fight, as they did not want an outsider being let go scot-free, deeming that it would tarnish the farman knights. Glaring at the man, Khloe told him that she could end whoever dared to oppose her without batting an eye. Khloe then questioned the man about the pride of the farman that he spoke of. The man wanted to respond to Khloe, but seeing her intense glare, he became nervous and could not speak. Seeing the man's reaction, Khloe's expression changed, and she told everyone that what the man had shown was exactly the spirit of the farman, unwavering against authority, believing in and acting on justice. Those are the farman's teachings. Mio, who was observing within the crowd, thought at first that Khloe was a scary person, but now changed her opinion after seeing that she was loved by everyone. Knowing that the only one who could answer Ruck's challenge was her, Khloe asked Ruck if he wished to spar with her. Taunting Ruck, Khloe told him that her blade was very much excited to go at it with him. Getting a chance to fight Khloe, Ruck thought that it would be good to gauge his strength. Khloe reminded Ruck that they would just be having practice and that the real fight would still go as scheduled. The crowd once again became lively, cheering for Khloe to teach Ruck a lesson. Khloe told Ruck that their fight would be a good opportunity for him to hone his skills. Knowing that the danger lay in Khloe's speed, Ruck planned to rely on his intuition against Khloe's attacks. After the gong was struck, Khloe's inhuman speed had already destroyed Ruck's bag, causing all of the amulets inside to be revealed. Seeing Ruck not moving, Mio could not believe that he would lose instantly. Deeming Ruck to be very weak, Khloe then noticed a crack on his sword, which made her remember Alicia's words about the blade being a knight's soul, and that if broken, it would be the same as death. Shocked, Khloe clenched her sword, unable to believe that Ruck was able to break it. The crowd became silent once again, not able to see what had happened due to the insane speed that Khloe demonstrated, wondering if either one's attacks had even landed. Although Ruck's intuition was correct, he still ended up getting hit and had his bag destroyed. In the first strike, Khloe aimed for his backpack and then dashed to the left. Though Ruck was correct in both of his guesses, he could only damage Khloe's weapon. Ruck admitted that Khloe's speed was beyond insane. As the crowd cheered for their princess, Khloe on the other hand was still in shock, still thinking of the words that Alicia had told her. Meanwhile, Leon, who was now locked in a cage, had become a criminal looking very lost. 2 knights were talking about Ruck, who had defeated the chosen knights up to the 6th place. Since everyone had witnessed Ruck's feat, one of the men wondered if Ruck was Knight Zero. With Ruck's abilities still unknown to everyone, the man was starting to believe that Ruck might be even stronger than the first knight. Given the nickname of Knight Zero, the knight wondered who would dare give Ruck such a nickname. Although the nickname Ruck gained is not scary, the 2 believed that he was someone with an insanely strong skill and wished they had been born like Ruck. Meanwhile, Ruck was still at the arena, training with his slashes until his palms were blistered and bloodied. Khloe's speed kept replaying in Ruck's mind. Even though his fight with Khloe was a draw, Ruck still believed that it was his loss. Approaching Ruck, Mio told him that he was pushing himself too hard. Realizing it was Mio, Ruck told her that he was fine since he took rests when he needed to. Since Ruck had been working really hard, Mio decided to give him another amulet. After receiving an amulet that relieves symptoms and prevents illness, Ruck was very pleased, asking Mio if she was really giving it to him. Since Ruck had been overworking himself, Mio decided to make that specific amulet for his health. Patting Mio's head, Ruck was very happy to have received the amulet. Acknowledging that Mio's amulets were the best, Ruck thought that he would no longer worry with the new amulet always with him. As Ruck's palm touched Mio's cheek, she immediately noticed the scuffs on Ruck's palm from practicing so much. After telling Mio that he was done with his training for the day, Mio then suggested that he take a bath to properly relax himself. Arriving at the bathhouse, Ruck did not expect it to be closed, which made him wonder if he was already too late. Ruck then remembered Kyun informing him to use the guest bathhouse freely since he was their guest. Since Ruck was only at the farman to learn swordsmanship, he felt awkward heading to the guest bathhouse. Upon arriving, Ruck was shocked to see how huge the place was. Seeing that there was no one around, Ruck wondered if he could even use the place for himself. Entering the warm water, Ruck felt relaxed. However, to his surprise, Khloe was also in the bathhouse and was right in front of him. Unsheathing her sword, Khloe told Ruck that she could declare his death depending on his answer. When Khloe asked Ruck how good his eyesight was, Ruck responded that it wasn't that great. But Ruck then mentioned that he could see through Khloe's towel from the reflection of the droplets. Upon learning that Ruck had amazing eyesight, Khloe became embarrassed and fully drew her sword, attacking Ruck in the water. Turning red, Khloe told Ruck that he would not be able to escape from her. Though Khloe aimed at Ruck's heart, she did not expect that he would still be able to get away. Wondering if Ruck had adapted to her attack pattern, Khloe still could not believe how incredible Ruck's eyesight and growth speed were. Hiding under the water, Ruck wondered why Khloe was in the guest bathhouse. Believing that Khloe was the one who was not supposed to be in the guest bathhouse, Ruck was curious as to why she was attacking him. The Lord of the Farman, Lord Lillicabra, suddenly entered the guest bathhouse, stating that compared to every other bathhouse on the Farman estate, the guest bathhouse is always the best. Khloe was surprised, as she did not expect to meet her father in the bathhouse. Seeing Khloe inside, Lord Lillicabra thought that he had already reminded her to use the bath in the castle. Khloe explains that she thought no one would be using the guest bathhouse late at night, and decided to take a bath there instead of the bath in the castle. Khloe could no longer respond to her father after being told that it was the day for the male guests to take a bath, and he lectured her to visit the bathhouse when it's for females. Ruck was trying his best to hold his breath, knowing that he would be in trouble if Lord Lillicabra found out that he was also in the bathhouse. Ruck did not expect that Khloe would block him from Lord Lillicabra's view. Turning around, Khloe told Ruck to hide behind her and get some air. Admitting that it was her fault, Khloe apologized and asked Ruck to wait for her father to leave. Entering the bath, Lord Lillicabra thought it was a good opportunity for them to have a chat. Lord Lillicabra praised Khloe for her determination in swordsmanship. However, he then stated that the more Khloe tried, the greater her despair would be. The conversation then turned serious when Lord Lillicabra told Khloe that she couldn't become a reliable knight and advised her to stop her meaningless attempts. Listening behind Khloe, Ruck could not believe that Lord Lillicabra, Khloe's very own father, would say such a thing to her. Ruck was shocked when Khloe admitted that she understood what her father meant. The reason why Khloe kept honing her swordsmanship was to protect the honor of the Farmans. Khloe knew from the age of 6 that her unique skill would never let her be a reliable knight. Relieved that Khloe knew her limits, Lord Lillicabra then took his leave. Khloe then asked Ruck how her acting was and informed him that her father had left. Ruck knew that what Khloe showed was not acting and asked if she could tell him her story. Later that night, Ruck met up with Khloe and asked her to stop joking and tell him her story. Ruck once again asked Khloe why Lord Lillicabra couldn't see her as a reliable knight. Stretching her hand toward the moon, Khloe asked Ruck about his experience the first time he left home, wondering if it was joyful or sorrowful. Confused, Ruck responded that he no longer remembered since it had been a while. Khloe then told Ruck that she would feel very happy because even though she is a knight, she has never once stepped out of the Farman grounds and would continue to stay there until the end. Meanwhile, a guard approached Leon, informing him that he was free to go. Confused at first, Leon then showed bravado, believing that everyone now saw him as someone who was not evil. Leon then asked if the woman he stabbed was casting some sort of enhancing spell, but the guard told him the woman did no such thing, even calling Leon a moron for believing she could. It was revealed that Leon's father had paid a sum of money to secure Leon's release from jail. After being handed a letter that came from his father, Leon learned how his father was disappointed in him for tarnishing the Hasenberg family's reputation. Since the other nobles haven't caught wind of Leon's crimes, his father planned to release him before that happened. However, moving forward, Leon was no longer considered his father's son and was warned never to step foot into his territory or call himself a Hasenberg. If Leon ever bowed his head and admitted to his faults, his father would give him one last chance. Leon was then advised to think wisely and reflect upon himself so that he could once again regain his father's trust. Crumpling the letter, Leon was very happy, thinking he could finally continue his journey along with his teammates. Grateful to his father, Leon planned to go to his teammates' aid, becoming a shining hero to them. Leon believed that his teammates were at the guild, waiting for him, as they always did. After being told by Khloe that she has never set foot outside the Farman grounds all her life and would continue to do so, Ruck questions why that is. Comparing her to Alicia, who has no problems going out all day, Khloe reveals that her body is fragile. Outside the Farman's territory, the air of the outside world is very slightly polluted by the miasma born from monsters. Khloe's body simply cannot handle it. Confused by what Khloe meant by pollution, Ruck tells her that he never noticed any. Khloe then cuts him off, explaining that a normal person will not be affected by the polluted air. Thinking that what she had just said sounded ridiculous, Khloe shares how she and Alicia once promised to become the greatest knights together, even creating a book about it. However, Khloe could only complain about it to Ruck. It was a picture book that Khloe drew with Alicia, a delusional tale of two sisters becoming the strongest knights ever, even criticizing how bad the drawings were. Khloe remembered how she first drew the book, stating that Alicia would be the strongest and that she would be next. At that time, Khloe couldn't wait to turn 6, so her father would give her permission to go out and also receive her unique skill. The two sisters smiled, eager to make their story real together. Alicia also wished for them to travel the world together and become the greatest. When the day finally came for Khloe to receive her unique skill, her hope and expectations gradually diminished as her health kept getting worse. Laying in her bed, Khloe still wished to get better to fulfill her promise to her sister. Although Khloe can train endlessly in her territory without depleting her health, she would immediately start coughing as soon as she stepped out of the farman's land. In contrast, Alicia's accomplishments and improvements were becoming clearer each day. As nights, the gap between Alicia and Khloe was forever expanding. Though Khloe asked Alicia to wait for her, Alicia never stopped. After meeting new knights every day, before Khloe knew it, Alicia had already found her lifelong opponent and it wasn't her. Tearing the book apart, Khloe blames Alicia for breaking the promise they made. Khloe then tells Ruck that all of this is the reason her father said she could never be a reliable knight. Seeing a shooting star, Khloe wished she could be born again. Turning to Ruck, Khloe then reminds him that she will never yield and will surely defeat him in their next match, not wanting to accept the likes of Ruck who took Alicia's attention away from her. Wanting to face Ruck in a full-fledged death match, Khloe shares how she would hate Ruck for the rest of her life if he loses on purpose. So that Ruck would not think of throwing the fight, Khloe tells him that his title of apprentice knight is on the line. After hearing everything that Khloe had told him, Ruck was glad that he would have to face such a strong knight like her. He obtained something that he couldn't even imagine back when he was just a luggage carrier. And after hearing Khloe's declaration of an all-out fight, Ruck was very pleased and expressed his mutual desire to have a full-fledged deathmatch with her. Khloe then calls Ruck a pervert for acting like a battle maniac after hearing her life story, which makes her realize why Alicia fell for him. The next day, the arena becomes very lively. Observing the continuation of Ruck's matches, both Gilman and Gannett at first thought that Ruck would be fighting the 5th chosen knight alone. However, this was not the case, as the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th knights showed up in the arena. Known by everyone as Knight Zero, everyone believes that Ruck is mocking the chosen knights by attempting to fight multiple knights at once. Feeling the hatred from the crowd, Mio hides and wonders what Ruck did. Ruck fully knows that what he has asked is disrespectful, but he also knows that it was the only way for him to gain the most experience. If Ruck cannot win against the 3 chosen knights in front of him, he will never stand a chance of winning against Khloe's speed. For his match, Ruck carried amulets that focused on speed, illness recovery, 2 prayer charms, and 12 swiftness prayers. In order for Ruck to deal with Khloe, he plans to utilize the swiftness of the amulets and use the new amulet that Mio made. When the gong was struck, it signaled the start of the match. Within seconds, Ruck was able to strike the 3 knights with ease. As they continued to receive blows from Ruck, the knights could not believe the speed that Ruck possessed. Both Platanus, also known as the 2nd chosen, and Minarus, the 3rd chosen knight, combined their powers and used their unique skill to stretch out their spears at an insane speed. Unfortunately for the two, Ruck was able to dodge their attack easily, leaving them open for a counterattack. With one swing, the 2 knights were easily blown away. Landing on their backs, Ruck pointed his weapon at the knights' faces, showing that they were all bested by him. The crowd could not believe what they had just witnessed, as Ruck managed to defeat 4 chosen knights with ease. After witnessing Ruck's fight, Mio was very delighted to see Ruck getting used to the swiftness charm. Knowing that the next knight to face Ruck would be the first knight, the crowd mentioned how they've never met this knight and only heard rumors that they are strong. Gannett, who was just leisurely watching, was not surprised that not everyone knew about the first knight, and revealed that it was none other than Alicia's maid. Hearing Gannett, Ruck was shocked as he already knew who Gannett was talking about. Entering the arena, Kyun praised Ruck for demonstrating a good fight. Ruck could not believe that the last knight he would have to face before Khloe would be none other than her instructor, Kyun. Smiling at Ruck, Kyun asked if he would allow her to be his next opponent. Meanwhile, Leon, who had just gotten out of prison, finally arrived at the Adventurers Guild, expecting to see his teammates inside. However, Leon was greeted by their guildmaster, who informed him that he no longer belonged to the guild. Leon tried to remind the guildmaster that he was an S-rank adventurer, but the guildmaster sternly told Leon that he was no longer an S-rank adventurer, and that his party, the Wise Eye of the Dark Lion, was now demoted to C-rank, and that Leon was now suspended indefinitely. Leon did not find the guildmaster's words amusing and thought that such punishment was unfair for only stabbing one person. Leon then reminded the guildmaster of how he used to praise him for finishing the hard requests that were being given to him. With all of the accumulated achievements Leon had made, he He claimed that he was practically the one who made the guild. Grabbing Leon's cloak, the guildmaster angrily asked Leon if his achievements made him feel entitled to hurt other people. Staring into the guildmaster's eyes, Leon could not respond and was just frightened. The guildmaster admitted that Leon had finished some hard jobs for the guild, but pointed out that he was not the one carrying everyone, and revealed that it was Ruck who had always been supporting the members of the Wise Eye of the Dark Lion. Confused, Leon wondered why the guildmaster would think of Ruck as their savior. Seeing that Leon truly did not know, he revealed that Ruck was the one who had dragged Leon's butt from the mud to such heights. Mio could not believe that the one ranked highest among the 10 chosen knights was none other than Kyun herself. Ruck was curious about how Kyun fights since he had only sparred with her in practice, during which she pinpointed his weaknesses. With a different set of amulets, Ruck plans to prove to Kyun that he is different from before. Raising her hand, Kyun wanted to make one thing clear before they started the fight. According to farman's rules, Kyun asked if leaving the stadium wouldn't count as a loss. The other knights then explained that as long as the fighter did not flee from the fight or leave farman's territory, it would be fine. Kyun was very pleased to know that they may be able to leave the stadium. Ruck became nervous as he did not know what Kyun was planning to do. As their fight began, Ruck decided to attack first since he had no idea what Kyun was planning. Using her unique ability, Kyun stepped back and vanished into her portal. Surprised by Kyun's move, Ruck immediately stopped as he and everyone in the arena wondered where Kyun had gone. Ruck immediately followed his instincts and stepped back, protecting his backpack with the walls. Seeing a wider view of the arena, Ruck wondered if Kyun was outsmarting him. With no knowledge of where the portal might lead, Ruck knew that he wouldn't get anywhere if he just stood in the arena. Entering the portal, Ruck was surprised as he was teleported into a sword pit trap. Ruck then used his sword to slow his descent and eventually stop himself from falling. It was then revealed that Kyun was also inside the pit, apologizing to Ruck for trying to trap him. Kyun revealed that if she lost the match, Alicia would increase her training by 5 times. Seeing Kyun's desperation to even use a trap, Ruck realized that even Kyun had something to fight for. If Kyun won the match, she would get a whole 8 hours of break, giving her plenty of time to visit remote hot springs and even get a massage. With water heavily pouring down on him, Ruck assumed that Kyun was using water magic, but then realized that the water was hot. Before vanishing, Kyun revealed that the water was from the bathhouse. Since Ruck did not have any defensive charms with him, his only option was to endure the water pressure, which was already tough. Ruck was surprised that within the strong water there were swords. Inside the bathhouse, Kyun was throwing all of the swords into the whirlpool that led to Ruck, admitting that her methods were not honorable. Kyun also knew that fighting Ruck honorably would not give her a win. It did not matter to Kyun if she had to throw away her knight's pride. She was very determined to get her well-deserved break, even if it was the last thing she did. Being pressured by the water and now about to be pierced by swords, Ruck thought they were nothing compared to Khloe's swordsmanship. Deeming the swords too slow, Ruck pulled out his sword and blocked all of the swords that Kyun threw. With his speed, Ruck finally managed to reach the top of the trap. Getting out of the trap, Ruck realizes that he is now out of the stadium but still recognizes which part of the territory he is currently in. While wondering where Kyun is, Ruck was surprised that the water is still pouring from the portal, making him wonder what kind of bathhouse has so much water. Ruck then remembered that the guest bathhouse was huge and contained so much water, which gives him the idea that Kyun may be there. Not planning to encounter more traps, Ruck decided not to enter the portal, but instead he decided on the safer option. With his insane speed, Ruck ran toward the bathhouse. Meanwhile, Kyun felt relieved after not seeing Ruck coming up through her portal, making her believe that she may have won. Hearing loud footsteps outside, Kyun was startled, thinking that it was Alicia at first. But then, as the footsteps got clearer, she realized that it was someone else. Hearing the footsteps getting nearer, Kyun cried out in fear. Realizing that the footsteps were coming from Ruck, Kyun then switched her plan, now targeting Ruck's bag. However, to Kyun's surprise, Ruck was able to deduce her plan, blocking Kyun's sword from the portal. With tears in her eyes, Kyun told Ruck to learn to assess his situation calmly and be stronger than ever. With the sword now pointed at her, Kyun's expression changed for the worse as she accepted her defeat. Kyun now thought that her life was over and did not blame Ruck for making her miss out on her beloved hot spring and massage. Feeling guilty, Ruck told Kyun that he would try to convince Alicia to give her a break. But knowing Alicia, Kyun knew that she would never be allowed to get one. Teleporting to a nearby volcano where Alicia was currently fighting monsters, Kyun asked Alicia if she could take a break. Alicia refused to give Kyun one, believing that taking a break was just a waste, and that losing was a perfect opportunity to grow. Ruck then stepped in, explaining to Alicia that Kyun needed time to reflect after losing to him. Ruck also suggested that Alicia give Kyun more time for herself. Not really seeing the point of rest, but since Ruck was the one asking, Alicia informed Kyun that she could rest every 100th day. Shocked, Kyun cried so hard that she could no longer properly thank Ruck. After calming Kyun down, the two then returned to the arena. Seeing Kyun suddenly raise a white flag, the crowd was in shock, as it meant that Ruck, known by the crowd as Knight Zero, was the winner. Mio was very happy for Ruck after defeating Kyun and was also pleased to see Kyun looking happy even though she lost. Kyun was the only one who was able to push Alicia down into a poisonous swamp and get a hit on her. Because of such a feat, Kyun was chosen as Alicia's maid. Since Ruck was able to defeat Kyun, Khloe no longer doubted Ruck's growth. With 2 days left until their scheduled fight, Khloe knew that Ruck would get even stronger. Later that night, Khloe was at the training grounds practicing her slashes. Breathing heavily, Khloe wondered how she could deal with Ruck's unpredictable fighting style. All of a sudden, Khloe smelled something horrible and ended up dropping her sword and coughing badly. Recognizing the horrid stench, Khloe wondered why it was in Farman's territory. Lifting her head, Khloe was in shock after seeing a horde of monsters. That is the end of the recap at chapter 14.2. Please read the pinned comment about the next part.